learners, welcome back to my channel Online Shala. So today we are going to study about the chapter Organic Chemistry, which is a very vast and lengthy chapter, but it is going to be very easy and it's going to be a part of your board exam, very important part of your board exams as well. So let's begin. So now let us see first what is organic chemistry, by the basic definition of it. So the branch of chemistry which deals with organic compounds, like compounds which have carbon in them, like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So they are called as organic compounds. So coming to the organic compounds, here we have 5 characteristics of organic compounds. But organic compounds are the compounds which do not have this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide in them. Instead they have compounds like phosphorus or halogens, so which do not contain these two. So coming to the first characteristic, we have the composition. So in composition we know that it contains carbon dioxide and hydrogen atom. So, and coming to the nature, organic compounds are non-ionic in nature. So generally the carbon compounds, their valence electrons share a covalent bond among them. So they are non-ionic nature, but they have covalent bond formation between them. Yeah, so first one is composition, which have carbon compounds and hydrogen compounds, and second is nature. They are non-ionic nature, but they have covalent bond formation between the carbon atoms. And the third one is solubility. Organic compounds are generally insoluble in water, but for the exception, they are soluble in benzene, alcohol or ether. So they are only soluble in such liquids. And coming to the fourth characteristics, melting and boiling point. Organic compounds have a very low melting and boiling point. And coming to the combustibility, they burn in air. Organic compounds burn in air to give carbon dioxide and water vapor as their, so H2 is water vapor, yeah, as their product. So when you burn the organic compounds in the presence of air, you get carbon dioxide and water vapor as your products. Okay, so these are the 5 characteristics. First one is composition, second one is nature, third is solubility, fourth is melting and boiling point, fifth one is combustibility. So these are the 5 characteristics of organic compounds. Hope you have understood it. And now let's see what is the difference between organic compounds, we have already seen, and inorganic compounds. So now let us understand the difference between organic compounds and inorganic compounds. So the first one is, the organic compounds are generally of carbon compounds, but it can also have compounds of sulfur, phosphorus attached to it. Whereas coming to inorganic compounds, they do not have any carbon compounds. So no carbon compounds. The second difference is that it is non-ionic in nature, as we have also previously seen in the characteristics. It is non-ionic nature, but it has covalent bond formation. Whereas in inorganic compounds, they are ionic in nature. Now the first two differences are done. Now let us move on to the third difference, which is the solubility. Now here they are insoluble in water. We have already seen in the previous characteristics that they are insoluble in water, but they are soluble in polar solvents. What are polar solvents? That is benzene, ether and alcohol. So they are soluble in polar solvents. Whereas coming to inorganic compounds, it's just the reverse of this, which is it is soluble in water and it is insoluble in polar solvents. Soluble in water and insoluble in polar solvents. Now coming to the fourth difference, organic compounds have generally low melting and low boiling point. We have already know this. Whereas in inorganic compounds, they do not have a low melting and low boiling point. They have a high melting and high boiling point. So now coming to the fifth difference, which is the organic compounds when they are burnt in air, what they give, the products we have already seen in the previous characteristics, that they give carbon dioxide and water vapor as their products. Whereas here the compounds do not burn in air, so hence they do not give carbon dioxide and water vapor as their products. So there are no products formed. And coming to the sixth difference, we know that the organic compounds are very good conductors of electricity. Whereas in organic compounds, they are bad conductors of electricity. Coming to the seventh difference, we know that the organic compounds, they form by sharing of electrons. This is an important word. They are formed by sharing of electrons. Whereas inorganic compounds, they are formed by transfer of electrons. So remember the difference between sharing and transferring of electrons. So in organic compounds, we generally share electrons. The outer valence electrons share their electrons with another atom. So here sharing takes place, and that's why we call them as covalent bond. Whereas in inorganic compounds, they have a transfer of electrons. So this is the differences between organic compounds and inorganic compounds. So let us quickly revise it once. So the organic compound, first difference is they have carbon compounds. Here inorganic, they don't have any carbon compounds. Second is the non-ionic, they have covalent bond formation. Here it is inorganic compounds, it's ionic in nature. The third difference is it's insoluble in water, soluble in polar solvents. Here it is just the opposite of it. It is soluble in water and insoluble in polar solvents. And the fourth difference is they have low melting and low boiling point. Here it has high melting and high boiling point. And the products when the organic compounds are burnt in air, which is carbon dioxide and water, and here no such reaction takes place. And the sixth difference is they are good conductors of electricity, whereas in inorganic compounds, it has bad conductors of electricity. Seventh is the most important one. It is formed by the sharing of electrons, and inorganic compounds are formed by the transfer of electrons. So these are the differences of organic and inorganic compounds. Now let us see about the versatility of carbon. So coming to the versatility of carbon compounds. First we have tetravalency. So what is meant by tetravalency is, see, there is a carbon compound and it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell, right? So what this carbon atom does, so what these 4 electrons does is, this carbon atom shares its electrons with a neighboring carbon atom so as to form stability. So this property is known as tetravalency of carbon atom. So it's just the 4 electrons share its electrons with another neighboring carbon atom, and this is called as the tetravalency nature of carbon atom. And the following one is the catenation. So catenation is based on this tetravalency concept only. So what catenation is, it has 3 types. So first one is the single chain carbon atom. So first one is single chain. That means that it has a very straight chain of carbon atoms like this. So sharing of electrons takes place between these carbon atoms. And then the second one is branched chain. So as the name itself tells, it is branched. That means these carbon atoms, when they are in a straight chain like this, one branch of a carbon atom shares electrons with another carbon here, and here This formation is known as branching. So this is called as branched chain. And the third one is closed chain. So in closed chain, all the carbon atoms, the elements which they are sharing, they have a closed structure like this. Yes. So they are closed chain and they do not have any other carbon atoms like this attached to it. So they form a closed chain. So these are the three types, which is single chain, branch chain and closed chain. So important, this is very important, the catenation. It is a very unique property of carbon atoms. So just remember this point, that catenation is a unique property of carbon atoms. So tetravalency is done, catenation is done. Now the third part is bonding. Bonding on organic compounds. So there are three types in which they are bonded. So first one is single bond, in which the carbon is single bond like this, and then double bond. So double bond is, we represent double bond like this. So this is called as double bonds and the representation is like this. Now see, the carbon atoms in the outermost electron, it has 4 electrons. So it obeys its property also. So see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here for this carbon electron as well, we have 4 electrons. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So they share, the carbon atoms share electrons to attain the stability. And then the third one is triple bond. So as we have seen, the double bond here is similarly the triple bond. So it forms a triple bond with any atom. Now for example, we can take as nitrogen atom. So this is the example of triple bond, and then example for double bond I'll write over here. The example of double bond is with oxygen. You can take any element with oxygen, satisfies this double bond property. So I have written the example of carbon sharing the electrons with oxygen. And then for triple bond, we have a compound with nitrogen. So these are the bonding: single bond, double bond and triple bond. So I'll again explain you the concept of tetravalency, which is the sharing of the atoms with its neighboring carbon atom. Why? Because to attain its stability, it shares electrons with its neighboring carbon atom. And then catenation is the most important, just remember it. It is the unique property of carbon atoms. And then we have three types in this, which first one is single chain, second is branched chain, in which you have a branch like this. So it has got the name branched chain. And then closed chain, which means the carbon atoms are arranged such that they do not have any other carbon atom attached outward to it. And then in single chain, it's clear by the representation that it just forms a straight chain of carbon atoms sharing electrons among them. And then bonding, we have already seen single bond, which has a single carbon atom here, and then double bond, which has, so this is the representation of double bond between the carbon atoms, and then triple bond, and these are the examples of double bond and triple bond. So now as we have seen the versatility of carbon atom and these important properties, now let us move on to the next thing. Now let us see about the kinds of formulae and the representation of organic compounds differently. So the first one we have is molecular formula or the molecular representation of it. So in molecular formula, now let us take an example. With example you will understand better. So we will take an example of C4H10, which is the formula of butane. Okay. So what molecular formula tells is what kind of atoms is present in that organic compound. Now for example, the organic compound is butane. So in butane, from this representation we can clearly know that carbon which has 4 carbon atoms in it. Butane has 4 carbon atoms and it consists of 10 hydrogen atoms. So the molecular formula just represents how many carbon atoms or hydrogen atoms or that sort, any atoms are present in it, and the representation it's done by its number. We can just write the number beside the atom. So here we have written C4H10 means there are 4 carbon atoms in butane and there are 10 hydrogens in the organic compound butane. So similarly, the structural formula, which is very simple. Now we'll take this example of butane, which has C4H10. So 4 carbon atoms. So first just put down as 4 carbon atoms and then you can arrange the hydrogen atoms like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So we know this carbons are 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the structural formula of butane, and which is also called as N-butane because the carbon atoms are arranged in a single chain. That is, there is no branching or such sort. There is only the carbon atoms, they form a straight chain. So this representation we take it with the alphabet N. So it is known as N-butane. So if we take, so for the structural formula only, now if we take a branched compound, like okay, we can take the structural representation. I'll take some example. Now okay, now we take a carbon atom over here. Instead of representation of the same butane of a straight chain like this, we can take a carbon atom in the branched chain form, and then similarly you can arrange the hydrogen atoms. So this branching, so this representation we call it as isobutane. Why iso? Because it has a branched chain over here. So whenever there is a branched chain, the name we get as a iso. Otherwise we can take it as N-butane. Now it is branched, so we call it as isobutane. So this is the molecular formula. Again I'll repeat. Molecular formula just as how many number of carbon atoms or hydrogen atoms are present in an organic compound. And in structural formula, so the name is saying that we need to form the structures of it. So we cut down this C4H10, we write in structure form, and then we name it as N-butane if it forms a straight chain, and isobutane if it has a branching like this. So this is the molecular formula and structural formula. And the third one is condensed formula. So what is condensed formula is, it is similar to the structural formula only. So we can take an example, okay, of CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. Okay, so this is the organic compound, and now let us see how to represent this. I'll represent it here. So this we can represent it first. You need to just write the carbon atoms as it is, and then arrange the hydrogen atoms. So now CH3 is C. Now here 3 hydrogen atoms comes here, and then CH2 here 2 hydrogen atom comes, and then again CH2 here also 2 come, and then again 3 hydrogen atoms. So you can see that in condensed formula also we can again go back to the structural formula as well. So it's nothing like this condensed formula has to be represented like this only. It can be represented like this also, but just for the short form and just for time consumption, we write the representation of condensed formula like this. So you can see that all this formula, which is molecular, structural and condensed, are all interlinked with each other. Because see, molecular formula, when you write it like this, you can represent directly. It is very easy to represent it in structural way. You need just to write the 4 carbon atoms, and then the remaining will be the hydrogen atoms. And then the naming is the similar one. When it is in straight chain, we call it as N-butane, and if it is branched, this word, this prefix iso comes here. And then in condensed formula, you can write this. You can first write down the structural formula, and then you can condense and write it like this for a short form. Now this is similarly, you can add the prefix N over here. Now if you want to see a branched atom, then I'll write it over here. We can take it as we can write the similar thing here, which is CH3, CH, CH3, CH3. Now how is this? This is the same representation of this, because CH3, again if you again convert it to the structural formula, you will again get this similar thing. I have just, in this we have formed a straight chain, and to make it simpler I have just used here a branched chain. So that is the difference. And then yes, this representation is very important and it's very easy, all are interlinked with each other. So now we have seen the all kinds of representation on what do we do in organic compounds. Now let us move on to the classification of it. Now the classification of hydrocarbons. So now in the classification of hydrocarbons, first it is divided into two, which is the aliphatic compounds and the aromatic compounds. So again there is a subdivision in it, which is in aliphatic compounds we have alkanes, that it forms a single chain carbon atoms, which we have already discussed previously, single chain carbon atoms or branch chain carbon atoms as well. So it has single chain and branched chain. Yes, and in coming to the aromatic compounds, again it is subdivided into alkenes and alkynes. So in alkenes there is a double bond present between it, and then it can also form straight chain atoms or branch chain atoms in it, which has a double bond between them. We have already seen double bond. And then this is alkenes, which means, just remember it as alkenes means which has a double bond between them. And then coming to alkynes, alkynes also can form single chain carbon atoms or double or branched chain. And then alkynes means which has a triple bond. So just remember it as alkenes, which has double bond in between the carbon atoms, and then alkynes, which has a triple bond between the carbon atoms. So previously we have seen the example with nitrogen, so it's the same, I'm using it here. And then aromatic compounds is divided into alkenes and alkynes. So please note the difference between the two. Alkenes means a double bond between the atoms, whether it is straight chain or branch chains, and then alkynes mean which has a triple bond between them, and then it can also form straight chains or branch chains. So this is the aliphatic compounds, this is the difference, and then aromatic compounds, these are the subdivisions of it. Now in the next class we will be learning about more in details about alkenes, alkynes and alkanes in full detail. So thank you for listening to the class patiently till now, and I hope you have understood all the concepts better. And from starting we'll see what we have seen first. So first we'll quickly revise. So first we have seen it is what is organic chemistry, what is the characteristics of organic compounds. I've already mentioned about nature, solubility, and we have already seen about the difference between the inorganic compounds and organic compounds. And then coming to the most important part, which is the versatility of carbon compound, which is the tetravalency and then catenation and then bonding, which you have learned about the single bond, double bond and the triple bond. And then we have seen the molecular formula and structural formula, and then condensed formula. Those representations are very important, so please go through it once before we enter into this major chapter of alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. We have a separate division of alkanes, and again we have the properties of it, alkenes and alkynes. We have subdivision of it. We have discussed about previously. Again in the next class we will study about it. We have already previously seen how to represent all of this. So thank you for listening, and please do like, share and subscribe to this channel, Online Shala.